use the same speech at the club, area, division, district level. Now, even at the club level, you know which jokes got you laughter and which didn't. Then why do you stick to the same joke in the area and division level and then realize after you lose saying that that joke wasn't good enough? What comes especially in a humorous speech contest is your own ego. And you rationalize in your mind saying, this audience did not understand it, but the area level audience may laugh at it. You already got feedback that your joke didn't work. So good speakers are not those who have better humor in their speeches. They're speakers who, like agile methodology in software development and testing, they're able to have the agility in public speaking to quickly take feedback, incorporate it and change their style. Whether it could be style in content or style in delivery, which both are very important in humor. And it's not about having a better humor, funny bone in your body. It's about being agile to whether the audience liked it, if not take it as a feedback, incorporate it, so each level you become more humorous. Humor, even more than inspiration, is very, very dependent on the audience that you're speaking to. One of the biggest problems that one of the biggest challenges that I faced when I went to my first World Championship of Public Speaking in Kuala Lumpur in 2012 is the jokes that the Indians had laughed in the district contest. Very few people from outside India laughed at the semi-finals. There were a few Chinese sitting staring at me when I was cracking my best joke, and they laughed when I was saying a very sad moment, when I was conveying something. Good job, man! I was like, no, that's not a joke. So there are a few things you just cannot master with knowledge and reading. You need to have experienced that. And the moment you experience it for the first time, be agile, nimble, and as Ramesh said, use the Kaizen technique to have continuous improvement. And after a point in time, you intuitively know this humor can never fail. Right? And I take example like that small girl talking to my cousin. I know I can take that example because the audience will always laugh for that. How? It comes with experience. I know 80 out of 85 audiences have laughed for that. So if you see mathematical probability, people will laugh at that. I know some inspirational stories which I just take it out of my sleeve and say it when somebody says speak for 15 minutes. I know I will get a clap at the end of this. It sounds like arrogance, but it is not arrogance, it's just mathematical probability. 99 out of 1,000, 100 people have clapped for it, it will clap. So through experience, you will get that intuitive feel of what your core strengths is. You'll realize that you cannot be him and get laughter. You have to be yourself and get laughter. And similarly, you cannot be him and get laughter. And that's what the stage does for us. It gives us a platform to practice and understand what our natural core strengths are. So when I saw this guy who's looking at, I think, he's looking at some video on his phone. Or you're taking a video of this, okay. So when this guy did the idiom of the day today, he did a great job, right? Can I do what he did and create such laughter? So you're number 2 in the world, you can do better. No, I cannot do what he did and create laughter. But you know what, I can do what I do and create laughter. And that's why you can never be another Aditya, I can never be another you. You got to really find out what makes you create laughter. Some people, their content is probably horrible, but you just look at their facial expressions. Always one guy in our class in school, just the way he acts, his funniness makes us laugh at him. So it's like a buffet. Which dish is the best? Depends on what you like. If you're a Chinese kind of guy, probably you should go to the Chinese counter. If you're a Thai kind of guy, you should go to the Thai counter. Similar as humor for you. It really depends on what you want to embrace. Even if you look at the stand-up world, stand-up comedy is very famous, and I know you want to be a stand-up comedian. My favorite stand-up comedian, Don Rickles, Dean Martins, they all embrace their own sense of humor. One is an insult comedian, just loves to insult people. Right? Another guy is a very taboo topic kind of comedian because that's his strength, core strength area. Another guy is completely, he pokes fun at all the, he's an anti-religion kind of comedian. He pokes fun at all the religions. Now one cannot do the other. It's somebody said Gandhi could not have been a Subhash Chandra Bose, Subhash Chandra Bose cannot be a Gandhi. Both of them would have failed. Right? And that's the embracing of your core strengths that really matter.
So you're saying it's very important that I know what my strengths are.
Individuality is very important, and for humor, really knowing who my audience is very important. Right? Nina in her speech had a reference of MBA. At that time, it's a very rare thing called MBA. People laugh. Why? Because you look at the age of this crowd, probably most of them are just finished engineering, they probably are preparing for an MBA. So people could relate to the fact that, oh, it was such a rare course then, now everybody wants to do an MBA. You probably tell the same joke to a set of retired people, probably an old age home. Nobody's probably going to laugh at that because they're not able to relate to that particular joke. So when you say a joke doesn't work, I can never buy that line. I only say said it to the wrong audience. Right? That's the only way to look at it.
In one of your podcasts, you said, no pause, no applause. So how does that work? How do I know when I should be pausing?
Pause sometimes is, I read a very good quote. As Toastmasters, we come across a lot of quotes, right? People like Avinash bombard us with quotes and table topics. So speak when you can improve on silence. It's very powerful if you think about it. Even on stage, speak if you can improve on silence. Most of the time you realize that silence speaks much more than words, so it's best to be quiet. Suppose I tell you, when I was coming to YWCA, in front of my eyes, I saw a guy meet with an accident in his bike. If I just rephrase it by, while I was coming to YMCA, in front of my eyes, there was a guy who met with an accident. Which is more powerful?
Second.
Why? Not because I paused, because the gravity of the situation, you're able to understand it better. The information was the same, but a guy meeting with an accident sounds very normal in the first sentence. It's like, many guys have met with an accident. The second sentence suddenly it becomes, a guy met with an accident, right? It's the power of pauses. In pauses, when you write a speech, we've always learned to use pauses when there is a full stop, right? At the end of every sentence, you pause. But when you speak, the rule is different. And we don't understand that, and mostly we use wrong pauses. Pauses come even in between sentences. When I was coming to YMCA, I saw a guy right in front of me. You never pause between saw and a guy when you're writing. But when you're speaking, you pause when impact needs to be given, not when a sentence ends. And that's the power of pauses. Last week in Mumbai Toastmasters, this guy who gave a speech about how he was in the US, he had gone for his MS and he couldn't really come back to India because of financial problems, blah blah blah. So for 5 years he hadn't met his parents. So he said, I came back to Mumbai after 5 years. I had not seen my folks for 5 years. I'd even forgotten how my house looks like. I went to my house, I went to the lift in my apartment. I opened the door, I could smell my mom's food already. She was in the kitchen, she was facing the other side. I went in, I was about to hug her, and I realized it was another auntie. I'd even forgotten that this was not my house, the opposite side was my house. The joke really works is when you build the momentum with adequate pauses. I was really about to hug her, then I realized it was another auntie. The pause diffuses the situation, builds that anticlimax, and people laugh. So when you ask about why people don't laugh at my jokes, it's probably you're speaking to the wrong audience, or probably you're not delivering it the way it should be delivered. And pause plays a very vital role in that.
Thanks, Aditya. Toastmaster Vignesh here wonders, how would you plant a moral message in a humorous speech?
And really, the moral is a very subjective term. How do you plant a moral message in your humorous speech? As I was telling you, when humor becomes part of your core message and not like a parallel track, you're automatically including humor as a part of your core message of your speech. One of the problems learning speaking in a Toastmaster way is, in order to learn better, we've kind of differentiated speeches as an inspirational speech, humorous speech, evaluation, table topic. Public speaking is just public speaking, right? There is no real thing called humorous speech. Every speech needs elements of both. As we learn in our project 2 or 3, there are 4 kinds of speaking. What are those?
Informative,
Informative?
persuasive, inspirational, and entertaining.
Now the mistake that we have as naive readers of such information is that we think there are 4 kinds of speeches. the essence of this is that all speeches need to have all four of these. If you see any world champion speech, I always used to say, if you see any world champion or public speaker, now I end up saying, if you see any one or two of the world championship of public speaking. So you find the finals of the world championship, all the speeches are predominantly humorous. They make you laugh probably 5 out of the 7 minutes. And when you are swayed by laughter, the inspiration comes in. And you just wake up in your speech like this. You see, nothing that we really say in inspiration is something the audience don't know. If I make a persuasive speech for you to wake up early in the morning, to love your parents better, to find your potential, to bounce back from failure, there is nothing I'm saying that you already don't know or have not heard of. It's really the how that changes a reiterative message to a revelation, saying, and that really happens when I connect with you on a human level, which happens when I'm entertaining you or telling jokes to you, and then you become a part of my speech, and suddenly when I tell you something to do differently, you value it. You go outside the room and think, probably I can wake up early and be more disciplined, right? And therefore speeches are not really of different categories. It needs to be integrated. Just that in a humorous speech contest, you're evaluated on basis of humor. And an international speech contest, you're evaluated on basis of the message and delivery and inspiration. But a speech should be seen as a holistic speech which entertains the audience, which inspires the audience, which makes them laugh, and which gives them information, which leaves them with a greater information than they were before the speech. So I think when we use public speaking as an integrated approach, our speeches can seldom fail. And that's why when it's humorous speeches, I see speeches with a core purpose to make people laugh, and therefore it's very degrading. And it's very sad to see such speeches which has no backbone, which just comes with a string of jokes